Today, I'm going to give you a quick rundown on the newly released Deus Ex VR experience on Steam, which you can play today with either an HTC Vive or an Oculus Rift CV1. This is what I would refer to as a tech demo that showcases the possibilities of AAA game environments in VR. So stay locked, crush that like button, enjoy, and I hope it helps.
What is currently happening YouTube? Facepalm here, your friend in Oz and NZ, bringing you reviews, tutorials and game clips, minus the shit. You can follow me on Twitter at Facepalm with a 1, not an L. As for here on YouTube, if you like what you find, then like, comment and subscribe. Don't forget to bring your game face. Let's get it done.
So the Deus Ex VR experience is available now on the Steam store, and you can find it by searching for Deus Ex VR. You'll see that this is a free-to-play experience, and in the description it says you can discover 4 iconic environments from Deus Ex Mankind Divided for the first time in virtual reality. If you've played the game, you'll recognize these environments from Dubai, Golem City, and of course, Shez Jensen. The user reviews overall are mixed, from 64 reviews as of today, and in all honesty, I think the mixed reviews are somewhat justified, depending on how well you cope with movement in VR, but we'll get to that in a second. It is listed as a single-player experience, has full controller support, and has headset support for the HTC Vive, the Oculus Rift, and OS VR. The input methods available are either tracked motion controllers or a gamepad, and it's worth noting here that with motion controllers like the Vive Wands or Oculus Touch, they can only be used to move around in the environment. You can't actually interact with anything using your hands, and so I found that the gamepad was the most hassle-free way to run through this content. The play area is stated as either seated or standing, and while I did run through this experience standing, it didn't really add anything, and so if I were to run through it a second time, I'd likely just do it seated. Where standing may be of an advantage though, is it can help reduce motion sickness, and so if you are prone to feeling sick in free-roaming VR, you may want to try it standing to alleviate the side effects of that style of locomotion. All the languages are listed here, and it is noted to have strong themes of violence, which it kind of does, but not really, and you'll see what I mean shortly. If we have a look at the reviews, you can see that the positive reviews all basically say a similar thing, and that is that this is a great VR experience because it gives you a chance to look around the Deus Ex environments for free in VR. However, the negative reviews do call out one of the things that I myself didn't like about this experience, and that is that it can make you feel a little nauseous despite having good VR tolerance. And that is solely because the field of view is a little off in this demo, and you'll notice that the screen warps when you look around, which is actually quite sickening. This tells me that the experience wasn't built with VR in mind, it was more of an afterthought where the developers retrofitted some levels to be VR compatible. And I would definitely say here that if this type of AAA content was to be released as a full game, the field of view and movement would need to be a lot better implemented to stop people from throwing up, uninstalling the game, leaving negative reviews, and not going back. And if we take a look at the installer size, it comes in at a whopping 8.23 gig, which is pretty bloody big for a 5-minute demo with 4 environments. Though in this day and age of big hard drive storage and fast download speeds, it's definitely not a deal breaker. Then, once we hit the play button, we'll get the option to run in Steam VR mode or Oculus VR mode, as is standard at the moment. I'll obviously be using the Oculus VR mode as I'm using a Rift. Once you've made that selection, you can go into the options menu and you'll see under the initial general options tab, you can set the display mode to either headset only or headset and display, which I really like, and I wish this was a standard implementation on every VR game, as it gives you the option to have what you see in VR output to your monitor so you can capture it to use for a video like this one. Under the graphics options tab, you can customize the settings based on how powerful your PC is, but for me, running a GTX 1070, I was able to max everything out easily. And I've seen people mention that with a GTX 970, they were able to do the same. And once you've set what you want here, you can go ahead and hit the Play VR Experience option, and you'll get a couple of quick pop-ups explaining controller schemes and a disclaimer. Once we're in, you'll be dropped into an environment which immediately shows how stunning these VR graphics is. And the first thing you're going to notice when you turn your head is that weird warping field of view that I mentioned. The controller works well for moving around as you would expect, and there is even a couple of signs showing which controller buttons are used for navigating these rooms. And moving on over to these arrows by the doors will move you into the next room. And the next one you'll come across is a big atrium with marble pillar pieces suspended from the ceiling. And you can even go and walk over here and examine a 3D mapping, which I actually found quite cool to look at, just to show off depth and graphics in VR. You'll also notice that the background music is quite ambient, and I thought it did a really good job of filling in the blanks, so to speak, and it added to the immersion in a very positive way. The sound effects from walking around are quite crisp and seem to all line up with how my footsteps would sound if I were really there. Moving on, you can look around rooms of mechanical arms, workshops, and other things, and move on to places like the main character Adam Jensen's apartment and check out his kitchen, as well as moving through and getting a vista of one of the game's more prominent locales. You can check out other cool objects and really get in close and have a good look to see the detail from the textures. You'll also be able to check out 3D models of the main characters and NPCs from the game. For me, replayability is 0 on this one, unless you're a Deus Ex nut. But for me, and likely most people, this will be a play once, enjoy, then uninstall type of deal. I may have been more tempted to leave it installed to run some friends through it, but in all honesty, that warping field of view effect would definitely make them quite sick. And so for that purpose, I would definitely choose something else. All in all, I liked it, would recommend it, and the fact that it shows that EDOS or ADOS or however you say it, Montreal, are at least dabbling with VR, and that gets me excited for what could come in the future. So if you like this video, then crush that like button, ask any questions in the comments below, subscribe if you want to see more content, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
Thanks for watching today's video. Just remember you can follow me on Twitter at facepalm with a 1, not an L. As for here on YouTube, if you like what you find, then like, comment, and subscribe. But don't forget to bring your game face. Facepalm out.